In this video, you're going to learn how to create a chess piece using a technique that works wonders for cylindrical models. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So let's go ahead and make that profile. I'm going to go to Curve, Path. All right, so there it is. It's a curved path stretching from left to right on the x-axis. We're going to place it on this side, and we're going to shape it into our pawn. So I've gone into my front view, and I've gone ahead into edit mode, as you can see here. I'm just going to go ahead and move all of this here. I might as well also go ahead and scale it. So it's going to be like a meter tall. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't reach this altitude here. So we have that grid for us. This grid is actually going to be extremely useful for shaping this thing. Why don't we go ahead and introduce you to snapping? Let's go up here and turn on this little magnet. But we're not done yet. I want to go into the snapping options, and I want to set it to grid and center, I believe is the right one. And it is. Very good. Let's start moving these. So you notice that as we get closer, we start zooming in, we see more and more little squares. Those are going to be our guides. This shape doesn't have to be exactly like mine. You can make any real shape you want. Just pay attention to how I achieve this shape. It's quite important. So here's our curve here. Now, if you haven't seen these curves before, you would think that this is the actual curve right here, these points. But no, it's this one. This is what we're trying to shape. It looks like it's become a sort of cup shape. We don't really want that. We want it to have a sharp bevel down here. And our snapping tool here is going to help us do that. Let's bring these over like so. There's a little more that we need to do, but that's not a problem. In fact, I think I'll go ahead into the curve properties or data properties. This is where you'll find all of the stuff that you need to customize your curve. So I'm going to go in here into the resolution preview and bring it down. And you can see that changing in real time. Do you see how it's getting a little bit more jagged? There's less points, making it less smooth. That's what we want. That's good. So I'm going to set it to 2. That should be enough. Let's go ahead and start making some more points. So you can use extrude for this. Control E for industry compatible. And I can start moving this up, so I'm adding more. And you can see our curve actually extending outwards a little bit because we've gone ahead and made some more points to control it. But what if I wanted to make points for these parts? I can't exactly make points like this. I can't just extrude it and place it here and expect it to work. I have to do something different. So I'm going to grab this point here, shift select. So I'm selecting both of these. I'm going to right click, subdivide. And what that does for me is that it makes a new point right in the middle. I'm going to do the same for this one, and I'm going to show you something. So right click, subdivide, and you can see in the option box here that I can actually add a couple more cuts. I can add 2 or 3. Now, I don't need that many, but if I go back to object mode, I can see my handiwork. The more points that I add for this area and this area has gone ahead and made this curve a little sharper. You can see that, and that's exactly what we want. Let's get back into editing. Let's do some more for these curves here. I want to subdivide this again. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to subdivide these guys. Pull this down. And now we have a decent curve here. I'll go back into object mode and show that. That's really good. It's not as sharp as I want, but I could probably go in and add one more subdivision, and that will drive it home. There we go. Okay, fantastic. So we are getting there. Where's the... There it is. It looks like we're probably not going to reach that meter there, but we certainly can try. We can also shift these things around. It's pretty simple to do that, so long as we have snapping. I'm going to go ahead and extrude this and bring it up a little bit. So we have this slope here, and it's coming up to this cliff. Just to speed things up, I'm going to go ahead and select all three of these and subdivide them. This will add a point here and a point here. And there you go. I'm going to bring this one down so it's a little closer to this part. I'm going to make another subdivision because I am preparing to make another shape here. I'm going to go ahead and extrude this, and I'm going to bring this up here. Select these guys, both of these, subdivide. And then, whoops, I'm going to pull it down like so. And what that's going to do for me is it's going to make a sort of curve here that I don't really need to worry too much about. But it doesn't look like it's quite there yet. Looks like I might have to bring the resolution up some more. And that'll get us there. Certainly will. Let's go ahead and subdivide these and grab us some more points to work with. I'm going to bring this one up here. And I'm going to bring this one up here. And that's giving me a nice slope. So that's going to be very interesting. You can even go closer, like so. And really pinch these here. So the closer you get, you're going to see more grids, and that can be very useful in placing these. So if I want these to be a little sharper, I can do that very easily. I can even adjust how this is being beveled by bringing this farther, these as well. So it looks a lot smoother this way, but the closer they are to this point, the sharper it's going to be. Very nice. I'll just go ahead and put these over here as edge support. Now you don't need to add too many. It looks like there's quite a few working here, but that's really all we need. We don't need too much. Also, I think I might like to make this a little more even. This could be a bit shorter. Let's see about bringing it down a little bit. There we go. That's getting there. As I'm working on this, I can actually go over here and start moving this around. So I have a lot of freedom here. I just want to make sure that I can keep things even. Looks like I'll have to get a little closer in order to make this line up as it should. As I'm selecting a bunch of these, my manipulator is going to be over here. So this is the median point. And what it's doing is it's snapping that instead of these guys. That's not necessarily bad. But if you want to keep them on the grid, it might make things a little bit more difficult, but it's not a deal breaker. We're doing a very good job so far. Let's keep going. I'm going to bring this up here. I think we're just about ready with this profile. Let's go ahead and add some more subdivisions here. I'll bring this down like so. Bring this upwards. Looks like I'll have to snap these. There we are. That's easy. Let's go ahead and add another subdivision, just so we can tighten this part up. Good. Let's bring this up. Add some subdivisions and tighten this. And I'll just go ahead and pull this up, and that should be okay. I'm going to go ahead and make just a little bit more. And I could just go ahead and block this out first and foremost. If I like the way this looks, and I just keep working with that, then later on, I can start adding these guys to tighten it up. The snapping is really helping out. Let's go ahead and get this sorted. Subdivide, pull this up. And as you work on this more and more, you end up getting faster. And that's exciting. You become more efficient. You need less time to work on this stuff. It really gives you perspective on how far you've come. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. I think we'll keep this. So you can go ahead and make any shape that you would like. But this bottom part needs to be here at the center of the origin. You see? And that's also... Yep, that's it. That's also where your origin is. The little orange dot there. Every object has one. It has an origin. So this origin needs to be right in the center here. If it's not, when we take the next step in creating this part of the pawn, yours might not end up looking like mine. Just something to think about. If it's not in the center, you could probably go to Object, Set Origin, or rather, Apply All Transforms, and that should do it. But if you have this so far, we can go ahead and move on. Let's go into the modifiers properties. Go to Add Modifier. I think it's in Generate. Is it? Yes, it is. Screw. Fantastic. So it's going to create a lathe around the axis, and since it's already set to Z by default, at least for me, this is what we get. So this is a very complex looking shape. Wouldn't you agree? That looks really good. So let's look at it from the top here. It does look a little bit jagged. We can fix that. Take a look at here. Steps viewport. I'm going to set this to 32. There we go. Now pay attention to this number. Very important. Where this is going to come up once more. Right. So that's done, and this does look quite good. Now let me show you something that's really neat. I can actually start moving this up. Since the modifier hasn't been applied yet, and it's still running, this is what we can do. We can actually move this upwards, and we can change things. So that's really cool. I can take these parts here, and I can just make them thinner. I'm going to set it to about here. And that looks pretty good. It's got a bit of a thin neck, but that'll be okay. But yeah, these modifiers are fantastic. They're extremely powerful. Being able to play around with this in real time, I can even change the way this looks. Take a look at this. This is insane. I'm a big fan of this. I can move this part around. If I don't like the shape that it was in, I can just change it. Okay, this looks good. I want to make sure that something is turned on, however. Right here, merge, so that once we apply this, it will merge the vertices here at the bottom. That's very important, so we don't have to worry about it later. If that was turned off, it would not merge the vertices here, and they would just be like 32 vertices just hanging out on the same space and not really merged. They'll probably have some shader issues later on down the road if you want to add shaders to this. So I just want to make sure this is nice and neat, so it's like a solid piece. So with that done, we should be good. Let me go ahead and right-click this, convert to mesh, because at the moment, our curve is not a mesh, and it's not going to apply. You see that? Cannot apply constructive modifiers on curve. Have to convert it to a mesh. Well, we can go ahead and skip a couple steps here. I can just convert to mesh this way. And what that does is it applies the modifier for us. And it also makes this into a solid mesh. So that curve is gone. You see how in the outliner, we still have nervous path there? In its place, there's a mesh instead of a curve. So I can go ahead and call this pawn, actually. I'm going to double click it. Pawn. There you go. Easy. Now, let's go ahead and make the top of this. So I can go ahead to add in edit mode, and I can add a UV sphere. There it is. So let's think back to 32, all right? Those 32 segments that we had for the screw modifier. Let's make sure that we have 32 here as well. Okay, so that's very important. What we're going to do is that we're going to sort of weld this sphere onto the top, and that's going to take care of our perfect pawn head. Let's bring this all the way up here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. In fact, what I might do is just pull this up like so. That looks about right. I'm liking that. Very good. Now, it's not going to be exact. We need an edge loop that goes along the top of this pawn shape. I can go ahead and make that. We can see that shape right here. So I'm inside of it now, and I can see what's going on. I have the loop cut tool selected here. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to bring it up here. Just a little bit. There. Done. And now, after doing that, I can go ahead and delete these parts. We don't want to leave these here. We want to delete them. If we merge all of this, it's just going to create non-manifold geometry, and that's going to give you some issues down the road. There we go. Let's try to bring this down so these touch. You see them there? There we go. Easy. All right, let's go ahead and merge these. I'm going to select this edge loop up here from this shape and this edge loop up here. So shift, double click, and there they go. I've gone ahead and selected them both, and you probably can't see it too well. There's one, there's two. Very good. I'll go into vertex mode, and then I'm going to right click, merge vertices by distance. And let's watch the bottom here. Removed 32 vertices. That tells me that this merge is complete and successful. So I'll go ahead and add some loop cuts here just to tighten this up. There we go. One more thing, right click, shade smooth. And there we are. There's our pawn shape. So to recap, we made use of a very easy way of creating cylindrical objects. You can do this for making soda bottles, the base of a fire hydrant, a wine glass, a mug. It's pretty simple. And using this same formula will give you a very complex looking shape, and it looks really nice. But there's your chess piece. Well done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.